World. It's Sports Talk with Psycho Sam, and I got a few updates here before we get started on what we're going to be talking about. Virginia Tech beat number 19 FSU 24-3. Seemed like from the highlights that I watched, they had a lot of mistakes. They fumbled the ball quite a few times, and also when they were near the goal line, they didn't put the football in the end zone. You know, the one time they made a field goal, and then the other time they fumbled the ball away and lost their opportunities to put the football in the end zone. I think if they did not make so many mistakes, they would have been in a different position, and the game would have went differently. But all right, so I got some other ideas from people on the comments, and I'm gonna do a couple of other teams. But before I do that, I'm gonna get into the wins and losses I think the Broncos are gonna have during the season. So week 1, the Broncos play the Seahawks, and I think the Broncos are gonna go ahead and win that game. The Seahawks, they struggle on defense nowadays. It's not exactly like they used to be. A lot of their players have gone, like Richard Sherman and everybody like that. Big key guys. And also the offensive line for the Seahawks has fallen off a lot. There's a lot of pressure on Russell Wilson, and he can't do it all by himself. So I don't really see too much when it comes to their running backs besides Doug Baldwin. And so week 2, we got the Raiders, and I think the Broncos are going to win that one as well. They just traded away their best player, which I think was a ridiculous move. Not very smart. I mean, you had a proven guy that was year in, year out putting in the work. Their best pass rusher by far, 35% of the pressure came from Khalil Mack, and he was getting at least 10 sacks every year, even won Defensive Player of the Year. Not a very smart move. And so then we have the Ravens in week 3 in Baltimore. I think the Broncos are going to drop that one because they don't play too well on the road, and Baltimore is a very hard team. They might not have the best guys, but they picked up some good additions at the wide receiver position with Michael Crabtree. And they have some ballers on defense like C.J. Mosley and Eric Weddle, a few notable guys. And I just think they are in a tough division. They play against the Steelers. They play against hard-hitting teams, and they come ready to play. They play aggressive. So I think we're going to drop the ball on that one. And then we have the Chiefs coming to Denver. I think they will still be a good opponent, but I think we will come out with a victory on that one because I don't think they will be cohesive at that point with Patrick Mahomes yet. I think later on in the season they'll be rolling better, but I think the Broncos will win that one. And then you have the Jets, week 5. I definitely think that's a win. Not to just discredit the Jets, but they are in a rebuilding situation and they have a quarterback starting. So I think that's going to be a W right there. Then the next week we have the Los Angeles Rams, and I went ahead and put a loss on that one. They have big-time players over there. One of the best offenses out there. They have Todd Gurley. So yeah, he's a very good running back. Aaron Donald on the defensive side. They got some ballers over there. And Aqib Talib, Marcus Peters at cornerback just joining the team. And so yeah. And then week 7, we're at the Cardinals. I think that's going to be a W. Once again, it's a team in the rebuilding stages, I believe. They have Josh Rosen at quarterback from UCLA. I think he's going to be pretty good, but it's going to be an up and down season for the Cardinals. They do got David Johnson and Larry Fitzgerald over there to help them out, but I think they're lacking in defensive part. Then you have at the Chiefs, and I went ahead and put a loss on that one because I think by that time the Chiefs will have everything together and Patrick Mahomes will come into his own and everything will be rolling on the defensive side. Then week number 9, I have us going against. They are going against the Texans, and I have us winning right there. Only because I don't see too much on the defensive part of the Texans. I mean, they have J.J. Watt, and pretty much that's about it on the defensive side. They do got a great quarterback in Deshaun Watson, and they have a great wide receiver in DeAndre Hopkins. But other than that, I don't see it going the Texans' favor. Then week 10, we get a bye week, and we should get healthy after that and recoup and get everything back. But I have us sliding the next 2 games, both losses at the Chargers and versus the Steelers. Okay, the Chargers, we always have a difficult time against AFC West opponents like the Chargers. They're really good. You got Phillip Rivers, and you got the big wideout, Keenan Allen, really good, and their defense should be better this year, and all their guys should be back healthy except for a few scratches, so that's going to be a tough one. And then the Pittsburgh Steelers, you have Big Ben coming back. Their offensive line is pretty good. Then you have VeonBell, Antonio Brown, I mean just a number of guys, Juju Smith-Schuster. They're pretty good on offense, and we'll see how good their defense is this year. They got a few guys like Bud Dupree, and so then week number 13, you have the Bengals. The Bengals, I think, are on the downslide. They're not as good as they used to be. A lot of players have gone, and a lot of coaches have gone away from the Bengals too, so I think we get the W there. They're not that good to me. Then we have week 14 at the 49ers. Jimmy Garoppolo, pretty good quarterback. I like the way he plays. He's got good command. Learned a lot when he was over there in New England. And then you have a lot of studs, young studs like DeForest Buckner on the defensive end that should be coming into their own. The 49ers are going to be a surprise team this year. Watch out for them. John Lynch is doing good things there in San Francisco. Then we have week 15 versus the Browns. I think that's going to be a win for us. I'm not into the Browns hype. I mean, they went and got a few players, but I don't think that they're going to be that good. I think they could be 8-8, 9-7 at the best, and then overall, I think they're going to be 7-9. That's my prediction for the Browns. Week 16, we have the Raiders. I think that's going to be another win for us. I don't see the Raiders doing too well this year. They got rid of Khalil Mack. Like, that's just outrageous to me. Like, I don't think that was a very good idea. They are already bad on defense. It's just going to get worse for them. And so, yeah. And then week 17 versus the Chargers. I think we'll finish strong against the Chargers and make a run for the playoffs. So, yeah, that's my prediction for the Broncos, 10-6 for the season. Alrighty. So I had a person wanting me to do the Steelers. But before I say anything about the Steelers, I want to give a shout out to Ryan Shazier. So with the Steelers, I have Big Ben. Very good quarterback, as you all know. Last year he had 28 touchdowns, 14 interceptions, and had 4,251 passing yards. Very good quarterback. I see him still doing the same. He's not yet out. You got Antonio Brown, best wide receiver in the game to me. He does it all. Route running's great. Footwork is great. Hands are strong. Last year he had 101 receptions. He had 1,533 yards with 9 TDs. Very phenomenal player. Gonna do it again. He's very consistent. This year in, year out. You have Juju Smith-Schuster. He's a good complement to Brown. Not to say that he's not good enough to be a number one, because he is. Like on other teams, he would be a definite number one wide receiver. But he's a good compliment over there. He had 58 receptions, 917 yards, and 7 touchdowns as a rookie. Very good rookie year. I expect him to go over 1,000 yards this year. VeonBell, not only can he run the ball and is very patient runner and finds the holes, he is good at receiving too. He catches the ball well out of the backfield. He had 321 carries last year, 1,291 yards with 9 touchdowns. And so yeah, that's the offensive side of the ball. Some good defensive players I like on the Steelers. You have left outside linebacker T.J. Watt, the brother of J.J. Watt. Had 40 tackles, 7 sacks, a forced fumble, and an interception last year for his rookie campaign. Did very well. I expect those numbers to go up. He's getting better. I mean, year to year, I expect him to do a lot of things there. Then you have Bud Dupree, right outside linebacker. Pretty fast player. Is good at rushing the passer. Should be another outstanding year for him. And then you had the free safety, Sean Davis. Exciting player. Up-and-coming player. He had 71 tackles last year, a sack, a forced fumble, and 3 interceptions. So I think they're going to be a pretty good team this year, but some weak points I think are at cornerback. Joe Hayden is getting pretty old, and I see Artie Burns get beat quite a few times, and their safeties, besides Sean Davis, are not so great. And I don't see them doing too well in pass rush either. Their defensive line is kind of old, and I don't really see them getting after them very much. Then let's just get right into the schedule. I believe they're going to have a winning record, though, still, because they do score a lot on offense and have all those weapons. So I think they're going to be 11-5. So I have them winning week 1 against Cleveland. Week 2, I have them beating Kansas City Chiefs. Week 3, I have them beating the Tampa Bay Buccaneers. And all 3 of those, I don't think they have the offensive power to match up with the Steelers. Okay, so in week 4, they play Baltimore Ravens in Baltimore. I mean, not in Baltimore, in Pittsburgh. And I have them losing that game right there against the Ravens, because the Ravens always come to play against the Steelers. And I think they should be better this year, the Ravens, on defense and on offense. And then week 5, I have them losing against Atlanta, just because I think Atlanta is a better defensive team than the Steelers. And also, they have a lot of weapons over there in Atlanta on offense as well. They have a great quarterback in Matt Ryan. Julio Jones, number 2 wide receiver to me in the NFL. Then you have Freeman at running back. He's very good. Then week 6 at Cincinnati, I have a W, because I think Cincinnati is still on the fall. They're not as good as they used to be. I've already talked about that. Then week 7 is a bye for the Steelers. Week 8, again against Cleveland. I have them winning there again. I do not think with all the additions that they're going to be too great this year. I mean, it's going to take another year for them to be in cohesion and get everything rolling. They added a few guys that have never been playing together, you know, so it's going to take a while over there. And then week 9 at Baltimore, I have them winning that game just because I think they're going to get the ball rolling and everybody should be coming into their own, and the defense should be playing better by that time. And then I have them losing against Carolina. Watch out for Carolina this year. They got a good wide receiver in the draft. Cam Newton's there. I think Christian McCaffrey is going to do a lot more workload running the ball. He's excellent at catching out of the backfield. And then they also added C.J. Anderson. And as you know, their defense hasn't been as good, but I think they'll get back on track. Luke Kuechly's there, and that guy balls out every year. So, yeah, watch out for Carolina. And then I have them losing to Jacksonville Jaguars in Week 11. It's going to be rough going down there to Jacksonville. They got some absolute studs on the defensive end there. Malik Jackson, Jalen Ramsey, you know. And they got a few guys over there on the offensive side too. Leonard Fournette, he's good. And then Week 12, I had them beating the Denver Broncos. Like I said, I don't think the Broncos are going to be as good because they don't have the offensive power as the Steelers. Week 13, I have them beating the Chargers. Once again, I don't think the Chargers are going to put up as many points and be as good on defense. And then Week 14, I have them beating the Raiders. The Raiders, I don't think are going to be very good this year. Maybe 5-11, 6-10 at the best, I think. Then Week 15 versus the Pats, I have them losing against the Patriots. Every year, when Tom Brady's the quarterback of the Patriots, you know they're going to do well. Then Week 16, I have them beating New Orleans Saints. I just don't think the Saints are good on defense, and the Steelers can put up points and match them on points. Week 17 versus Cincinnati. That's going to be a W again for the Steelers. So that's going to make them 11-5. Some other players, honorable mentions for me. James Conner. I said it backwards. Good running back. Should be a spell back for the VeonBell and them. So Terrell Edmonds, Darius Hayward-Bay, Jesse James, Vance McDonald, and Jalen Samuels. A lot of offensive firepower. Darius Hayward-Bay is very fast. Should be open with Antonio Brown and Juju Smith-Schuster. Look for him to be that slot receiver and to go deep. And then also Vance McDonald and Jesse James, 2 big tight ends. Watch them slip out and not be noticed because of all the other offensive firepower that they've got. It's ridiculous how many good offensive players they have. And then Jalen Samuels, another running back to switch up the pace, give both those other running backs some breathers. All right. And I also got asked to do the Vikings, okay? So I have Kirk Cousins. They just picked him up. Kirk Cousins, last 3 years as a starter, has been really good. He's gone over 4,000 yards every year with the Washington Redskins. Last year he had 4,093 yards passing, 27 touchdowns and 13 interceptions, passer rating of 93.9. He's a very accurate quarterback. He's poised in the pocket. He has good timing, but still needs to improve on his footwork on certain step backs and drops, and while moving out of the pocket on the run. I see him doing very well over there in Minnesota. I mean, he's got a lot more firepower when it comes to the receiving core, and the running back he has in the backfield, Dalvin Cook, is going to be really good. And then you have Stephon Diggs and Adam Thielen. Adam Thielen, most people don't know, he went over 1,000 yards receiving, actually led the team, I believe. Stephon Diggs only had 64 receptions for 849 yards and 8 touchdowns. I see the production being a lot better with Kirk Cousins, who is, I believe, a more pocket passer than Case Keenum. And I think he's just a little bit more accurate and better with the football than Case Keenum. Dalvin Cook, he's very fast, he runs hard, and he knows how to find the hole and go. He got injured last year, so he didn't really get to play out the full season, so he only had 74 rushes for 354 yards and 2 touchdowns. He looked very good when he played. I think, though, they need to work up front on the offensive line. Riley Reif, Tom Compton, Pat Elflein, Mike Rimmers, and Rashad Hill. Rashad Hill kind of struggles with the pass protection, and they just need to get a little more aggressive when it comes to the run game. Kyle Rudolph, he's the tight end over there. He's a consistent every year. He's big, he's strong, he's a good route runner. He had 57 receptions, 532 yards, and 8 touchdowns. He's a guy that you should go and pick up in fantasy football if you haven't already. And then on the defensive side, you have all 4 up front. Big dudes, great players. Danielle Hunter, Sheldon Richardson, Linval Joseph, and Everson Griffin. Griffin and Hunter are very fast. They got a high motor. They're always going. Good at getting after the quarterback. Linval Joseph, absolute stud when it comes to the run defense. And Sheldon Richardson, he should be good too. Lined up next to Linval Joseph, that should give him a better run defense. But where I see they need improvement is going to be the other cornerbacks besides Xavier Rhodes, who's an absolute shutdown corner. Guy hardly gives up touchdowns and hardly gives up long plays down the field. But Trey Waynes needs to step it up this year. Haven't really seen much of him. I know he's very fast. He can keep up with any guy out there. He just needs to work on his technique and actually reading routes better. So I just see them falling off after Xavier Rhodes when it comes to pass coverage. And then also the linebacking core. Ben Gideon needs a lot of improvement in coverage. He's on the slower side, so he needs to be more instinctive, like being better at run defense. Last year, he only had 23 tackles, wasn't much involved. That's one of their weak points right there. Also, Eric Kendricks and Anthony Barr, I mean, they're still pretty raw. Don't get me wrong, they're very great players, but they still need to work on pass coverage and a little bit on the run defense, knowing which gaps, where to go. And I would like to see Anthony Barr get in there more after the quarterback this year. They recently picked up George Iloka. I think they should put him alongside Harrison Smith, who is their absolute best player on defense to me. That guy, Harrison Smith, flies around the ball. He's always around the ball. Good in pass coverage, good run defense. Plays sideline to sideline. There's not much more you can say about that guy. He's an absolute beast. I really like Harrison Smith. But I think George Iloka would be an upgrade to Andrew Sendejo, which is a weak point to me. He's very slow, not a sideline-to-sideline player, gets beat often in coverage. Some other honorable mentions: Laquan Treadwell, I think needs to step it up this year. I think he will do better with Adam Thielen and Stephon Diggs playing the 1 and 2, and he needs to be that slot receiver that they go to, and I think he'll do a lot better with Kirk Cousins as the quarterback who knows the offenses more and gets the ball out pretty fast. And then you have Latavius Murray, who's the spellback for Dalvin Cook. And then you have Mackenzie Alexander. I want to see a lot more from him. Let's see what he can do. This is, I believe, second year in the league. Needs to step it up when it comes to coverage. Deshaun Bauer, good guy to rotate for Danielle Hunter and Everson Gifford. He gets after the quarterback pretty good, high motor. And so, yeah, those are the players for the Vikings that I expect to do good. Then we're going to go right ahead into the schedule for the Vikings. So week 1, we have the Vikings against the 49ers. I believe the Vikings are going to come out strong, good defense, and they should be pretty explosive on offense this year as well. So I have them winning against the 49ers. The 49ers are going to be good this year, but I have them losing that one because I don't think they're going to have it all together at the beginning of the year. They should be getting rolling later on in the year when the teams have been playing longer together, their players. Week 2, I have them losing against the Packers. They are at Lambeau Field. Very hard place to play. I expected Packers to do a lot better this year. They have Aaron Rodgers at quarterback. Come on, the guy is unbelievable. Strong arm, can make any throw, and it's hard to get that guy down, and I believe the Packers are going to be better on defense this year. So then I have them winning week 3 against the Bills. I don't see much out of the Bills. They got Josh Allen as their starting quarterback. They're not very good on defense, and I believe they're in the rebuilding stages. So that's a win right there in week 3 for me. I have them losing week 4 at the Rams. The Rams I expect to be pretty good this year. They got Marcus Peters and Aqib Talib, Aaron Donald, some studs on defense, and Todd Gurley on offense with Jared Goff at quarterback. Should be pretty good. And then week 5, I have them losing to the Eagles. The Eagles should be pretty good this year as well. Again, I mean, they're coming off a Super Bowl win. Not much else you need to say. Had the best pass rush last year, the most sacks in the league. So they should be doing it again because they brought back the same guys pretty much. And then week 6, the Cardinals. I don't think the Cardinals will be very good this year. The Vikings should handle them. I got a win for the Vikings there. I got a win at the Jets. The Jets are in rebuilding stages. I have them beating the Saints. I think the defense of the Vikings is too powerful for that Saints offense. I see them winning there. I see them winning against the Lions in week 9. The Lions aren't as good on defense. I mean, they have Matt Stafford at quarterback, but can't do it all alone. Then week 10, they have a bye week. Then they go to the Bears in week 11. I have them winning there. I don't think the Bears are going to be as good as everybody believes, but they should have a better pass rush with Leonard Floyd and Khalil Mack on the edges. That's going to be pretty scary once they've been playing for a couple years there and they get a couple more guys to help them out in coverage. So yeah. And then I have them winning week 12 versus the Packers at home. I think by this time, Kirk Cousins in that offense is really going to be rolling. And the defense is going to be at the same form as last year. So I have them winning there. I have them losing at the Patriots. It's very hard to win in New England, especially with Tom Brady. That's if Tom Brady's healthy and everything's good. Remember, all of these is predictions if everybody's still healthy and doing good. Then I have them winning Week 14 at the Seahawks. I don't see the Seahawks being very well. Their offensive line is not very good. And then their defense is going to be not very good as well. They're losing a lot of players on defense that were key. Week 15, I have them winning against the Dolphins. The Dolphins are not a very good football team. They're not high power offense, and their defense is pretty sorry. So I have them winning there. Week 16, this all depends. I don't have a win or a loss here. And week 17 as well. At this point, so far, I only have the Vikings losing 4 games. So they'll be 10-4, and depending upon how everybody else looks, they might even be resting their players. But I were to say, if they were starting, I think they would win the last 2 games and end out being 12-4, because I don't think the Lions have enough on defense to compete with the Vikings, and the Bears, they don't have enough offensive power to beat the Vikings defense, in my opinion. So yeah, I believe the Vikings are going to be 12-4, and those are my predictions on what you guys asked for. If you like it, go ahead and hit that button. If you want to subscribe, go ahead and hit that button. And if you have any comments on your team and want to see anything else, if you have any suggestions on anything else, go ahead and leave it.